But first, the longest-serving US President Franklin Roosevelt had a good line for these times. The only thing we have to fear, he said, is fear itself. Now, admittedly, it didn't save America from the ravages of the Great Depression, but it got them through it, and the US went on to rebuild to be the economic superpower they are today. And that underscores the point, doesn't it, that bad situations are always made worse by panic. In Australia and around the world, there's the real worry that the potential health emergency that is coronavirus becomes worse because people do too little too late, and that the looming economic slump gets worse because then people basically shut down through fear. As I walked through the Sydney airport, the domestic airport last night, it's our busiest airport in our largest city, I had to stop and take this video for you. Aside from me and one other, not a soul. No business travellers, no families, no overseas tourists, nothing. For me, forget the health worry. It's real, I know it's real, I'm not dismissing it, but in the magnitude of risk, it's the potential economic fallout that concerns me the most. In all of this, what's needed is a sense of perspective. Coronavirus, yes, it's a very serious disease. In China, it has a 15% mortality rate for people over the age of 80. But except for people with other serious health issues, the death rate drops to virtually zero for younger people. And while coronavirus is now in over 100 countries and well over 100,000 confirmed cases and nearly 5,000 deaths, and a pandemic now officially declared by the World Health Organization, we need to stiffen our national spine here because it's likely to get worse before it gets better. Still, you're much more likely to be hurt by the panic than the disease itself. That's why keep calm and carry on is by far the best advice we can give ourselves. Interestingly, after first denying there was a problem and persecuting the doctors who were worried about it, the draconian lockdown imposed in China's Wuhan province seems to have stopped the disease in its tracks. Despite tens of thousands of confirmed Chinese cases, there has been virtually no further spread in recent weeks. Likewise in Japan and Korea, which looked to be in serious trouble a couple of weeks back, school closures and social distancing seem to have curtailed the virus's advance. So the disease can be dealt with. It's disruptive, it's bloody expensive, and it's easier to do in places like China where there's so much more official control that it can be done. Here in Australia, the government was commendably quick to slap travel bans on most impacted countries and to quarantine returnees. They called it a pandemic weeks ago. The World Health Organization only did that today. And with today's move by the US to ban travel from Europe, the PM has already asked his experts to look at this as well. Domestically, by ramping up the 24/7 hotline, rolling out fever clinics and improvements in isolation procedures, with the readiness of authorities, of course, now to close school campuses and university campuses and for businesses to get people to work from home, we're getting our act together about as well as can be. More will come, though. As the footy season gets set to kick off, will it? Or will it get cancelled? At least the early rounds, as has happened in the US today with the NBA suspending the pro basketball season. Economically, as I said, that's my real worry. The Prime Minister's $17.6 billion stimulus announcement this morning should reassure people that the economic consequences of this outbreak are being as well managed as the health concerns. There's extra cash for small businesses through the tax system. There's more access to instant asset write-offs to encourage spending and investment, and there's help to stop apprentices from being laid off. Behind the scenes, there's no doubt, the government too is arm-twisting banks on interest holidays and foreclosure moratoriums for all the businesses most affected by the big drop in international travel. And then there's the billions in cash going into the pockets of those who are most likely to spend it. Pensioners, those on a Commonwealth Seniors Health Card, carers and low-income families. Now, the government can't tell people how to spend this money, and the government can't readily stop all forms of panic buying. But they're clearly doing all they can, so it's now time we do our bit. To be honest, many of us need to buck up, as I said earlier, and stiffen the collective national spine. It's as if years of economic good times have made us soft, and all the hand-wringing over climate emergencies is perhaps part of the problem when a real emergency like this happens and we all rush to the toilet paper aisle. I mean, seriously, Australia, we should all be taking the advice of professionals and not forwarding on the social media old wives' tales and start the panic again. We've got to quit the whinging, the hoarding, and all the other rubbish we've seen people do in recent weeks. We are Australians. We're the descendants of people who have lived through war, depressions, and far bigger, far deadlier outbreaks like the Spanish flu, TB, polio, and the pre-penicillin world. You get my drift? We live in one of the most isolated and harshest continents on Earth, and you know what? We've got it good. About as good as you can get it anywhere in the world. Indeed, we are the envy of the world. We've got a world-class health system that doesn't discriminate based on income. And while we can't stop a disease like this emerging from a place like China, we can control how it spreads. We can individually control how we respond and the damage it ends up doing, not just to our health, but to our economy. Now, this is not just the job of politicians and health experts here. They can only do so much. In the end, it comes down to all of us. So come on, Australia, let's all pull together and harden up.